sometimes I feel like we're drawn to where we kind of be, but at the same time, we got a lot of our personalities to come out. Like you got to be who you are. When you're trying to niche down and conquer your fears, it really boils down to who are you? Because no one knows who you are until you know who you are.
Empower You podcast is devoted to bringing real-world wisdom and encouragement to our listeners, fans, subscribers, and friends. We talk about a multitude of life principles and the process from an economic, societal, and cultural perspective. We believe that in tough conversations and shared wisdom, we can pave the path and leave a ladder for the future. So subscribe to our channel, rate, review, and let us empower you. Welcome to Empower You podcast. My name is Kid Boy Cooper. I am so excited that you are here today. We have a fantastic interview coming up, and I am so excited, y'all. It's just absolutely incredible. So I want to back up really quick before we introduce our guest. What we're talking about right now is empowered investments. The reason that we're talking about empowered investments on Empower You podcast is because we have to understand what investments are in order to make good investments, right? And if you're in a community like I was growing up, where people didn't really talk about investments, people didn't really talk about the things that were necessary in order to live and have a sustainable life and lifestyle based off of the things that you're good at. And part of that knowledge comes with being able to properly understand and evaluate investments in your time, investments in your health, investments in your mindset, investments in your money, investments in your education. There's a lot of different things that go into investments. And though you may only hear about the money aspect online or with some of your favorite influencers, on Empower You podcast, we want to talk about how you become your greatest investment, right? And that's gonna help you manifest and create the wealth that you're looking for, the peace that you're looking for, the abundance that you're looking for. It's an inside out type of thing. And if you can't recognize it and see it, it's gonna be difficult for you to achieve it. So I had to get that out so that we could get the ground laid for this interview here. So we have with us today a topic, and our topic is overcoming fear, right? Super important for anybody. And our guest is a celebrity hair and makeup artist. She is an author, she's a speaker, she's an educator, she is an expert in the beauty industry. She has helped over 400 beauticians, hairstylists, makeup artists, salon owners create incredible success for themselves, for their businesses, which then impacts their families, their communities, their clients, 6 and 7 figures worth of client results. She's just absolutely incredible. I'm so glad she carved out a little bit of time for us at the end of her day. And we are very, very excited to have Miss Elisha Monique. How are you, Elisha? Thank you so much for being here. How's it going?
It's going great. I can't complain. None of us can complain.
That's right. We're here. As my mom says, 6 feet over and not 6 feet under. And so we're doing all right. So as we continue to move into this topic, before I get too deep, I would love to hear more about you. Tell us about you and what you do. I got so many questions. I'm super excited to talk to you, as you can see. And so I just want to give you an opportunity to share with us who you are, that we don't see online, that we don't see, constantly in social media with all the awesome stuff you're doing. Who are you underneath all of that?
Well, underneath all of that, I am a wife of 25 years to an amazing husband. I am a mother of three. My oldest is 29, my daughter is 20, and my son is 16. I am a regular person underneath everything. I love Sunday brunch. I love hanging out with my family, going to the mall, or just having a night on the couch. So underneath of everything you see out here, coaching, I'm just one of you guys trying to get to the next level.
That's right. That's right. So what do you do? I think sometimes well, I'm just gonna say myself, I don't even have any hair, right? Like my hygiene routine, my getting fresh routine's totally different. So, what goes into being a hairstylist and a makeup artist and a salon owner? What is it that you're doing with your clients? From a novice, somebody who knows absolutely nothing, tell us about what you do for clients.
The biggest thing that goes into what I do is love and passion. I guess I was in this industry since I was 5 years old. And as a little girl, doing the baby dolls, I just kept growing and evolving. And now I just give back. So I'm giving back to my community, recently retired these past 2 years from behind the chair. I feel the need that salon owners need guidance because they all want their businesses to be great, but there's holes and things that they just don't understand that we got to plug into. So as a coach, I'm filling all of those holes.
What do you feel like is one of the biggest deterrents that you have to overcome in order to help these particular types of people?
Mindset. I feel mindset is the biggest thing. Knowing what you need to do in order to get to next level, knowing, these are the challenges that you're facing. It all boils down to mindset on, are you make the shift to get to where you want to go mentally? Because physically, all the tools, the strategies, I can share that people with all day long. But until you can physically say, I am ready to start, I am ready to implement, this is what I deserve, this is what I desire, that's the fight that I'm having right now. So I think that fear, so this is a great topic, that fear and mindset it's a battle right now.
Yeah. And I think it's especially prevalent because, we live in this hyper reality of social media where everything appears to be real that isn't real, and everything that's real seems, too low resolution, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a catch-22 because on the one hand, there are people who have received these crazy fast results, but the reality, it seems like to me, is that long-term investments in yourself and in your mindset and in your environment seem to be the best, most sustainable way to achieve success.
Absolutely.
Who was your ideal client?
My ideal client are salon owners and salon suite stylists. My sweet spot for salon owners are those who are in business between 3 to 5 years, or salon suite stylists who are like, okay, what's next? They're looking for that next level. They've been in a suite sometime. They might want to own their own space, or they have a double suite and not quite sure how to become a mini salon. So my ideal client is just, those individual salon owners that's like, listen, I don't want to work in my salon by myself no more. Like, I need a team. Like, I'm tired. I'm trying to retire. I want to retire, but I don't know how.
That's amazing. Because I was actually at a school the other day and I was speaking to a class, and one of the young ladies there said she wanted to go to school and learn how to do hair and cosmetology and things like that. And one of the things that I told her was, what else did she want to do? Because I said, you got to have a full picture of what you want to do, right? She had mentioned some other things before then. And the school that I was talking at, I'm sorry, this is kind of a long story, but the school that I was speaking at, there's some of the kids there have some challenges. behaviorally or environmentally. There's just some challenges. And I asked them to evaluate themselves. I said, what do you feel like your biggest, gives you the greatest resistance? And some people said their attitude. Some people said this and that. And this one particular young lady said her addiction to fast money. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, there's nothing wrong with making money fast. You just gotta be smart and do it legally. Like, ain't nothing wrong with making money fast. So don't feel like that's a bad thing, but what do you plan on doing? What's your process of getting this money? And she talked about having a salon and things like that. And I told her, I was like, listen, you need to be looking up to somebody who has done what you've done already. Because obviously I wasn't recommending myself. I was just saying, like, you need to start trying to see what other mentors are in your space, because there's obviously, a lot of money to be made, but then also, it's a really interesting position that hairstylists, barbers, beauticians play in a community, right? At least growing up for me, the barbershop was a sacred space. It was sacred ground. And from what I understand, that's how it is, in
the salon,
in the hair salon too. So what about being in those environments drew you to that? You said you started when you were younger, but what kept you there?
Well, as a kid, going to the salon with my mom, first of all, as a kid, when I grew up, you didn't participate in adult conversation. You sat there, you were seen, and you were not heard. So I heard a lot. And like the student said, she wanted to make fast money. I thought it was fast money too. And I was like, I can do this. Oh my God. Like, I was so amazed at the transformations that was happening. People coming in looking like, ooh, and leaving out looking like, okay. Like, that whole,
That's
you
awesome.
as a kid, like, imagine as a kid, like, I'm pretty sure you imagine that sitting in a barbershop, looking at the men coming in, with hair all over, and they get cleaned up. You like, okay. When I grow up, I'm gonna get me some facial hair, and I'm gonna get sharpened up. And like, that's as a kid. So as I became adult, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I love the transformation part. I love working with my hands, seeing the smiles that people put on their face. But one of the biggest misconceptions is that people think this is fast money. It takes time to get to fast money. And once most people get there, they spend it fast as well. Because in beauty school, you're not taught how to manage money. You're taught how to do hair. And the reward for doing hair is making money. So the more hair you do, the more money you make. And what do you do it? You go out and buy all the fancy things, all the nice things that you want, and you do it again. Do more hair, make more money, spend more money. And you create this lifestyle that you look back and be like, what did I do with all this money I had? And I'm probably talking about myself, but I know somebody else out there can relate. Because at the end of the day, when your business is well structured, when your mindset is well structured, you're not really worried about making all this money and spending it. Your focus become, with the money that I made, what else can I do to create a legacy, to leave something behind? What other business that I can create? And those are things you don't learn in B school.
That's real good. And I think that mindset shift makes you safe for money to come to, right? Because money can come to you fast and it can also leave you quick.
Yes.
I feel like wealth and abundance almost has its own personality.
It does.
It desires to be used in a certain way. And if we don't, it will find every excuse to be gone. That might be a little, I don't know, that might fly over some of y'all head, but it's just the truth. I believe, because I've experienced the same thing. I've done really well at different points, but it also vanished just as quick. And now you're just like, oh wow, okay, now what? So you help salon owners and what did you call them? Sweet
stylists. Those are those are stylists that are they're in a building. It's almost like a room in a doctor's office.
Okay.
They can create their own customer experience. They're not in an open atmosphere where we can actually see other stylists. So they can decorate, they can have like their own theme. So I like to call them mini salons, operating inside of a larger salon.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't even know that was a thing.
That is a thing.
That is amazing. That sounds fantastic. Okay, so here's one of my pressing questions that I have for you. You talk about how you grew up, right? Going to salons and seeing the transformations and, wanting to work with your hands, wanting to be in that atmosphere with people. But starting out, obviously, when you're growing up and you're developing these skill sets, what were some of your obstacles that you had to overcome? What were 3 dominant fears that you had to overcome in order to get to this level where now, you're super successful? You've helped over 400 people. Like, there's a lot of people who, that's just an incredible record. I'm just going to put that out there. That's fantastic. But that takes a lot of work. And so for you to be at that point, what do you feel like what fears did you have to overcome to get there?
That is a great question. A really great question. Okay. Let me take a deep breath.
Take your time.
Right. So, first fear was non-believers. Going into the beauty industry is always, you're not going to make any money over there. Like, just get a 9-to-5, pays $15, $20 an hour, something that the average person can calculate, right? As a beauty professional, it was always said that you don't make money in the beauty industry. Just get a regular job. Just go to college. Get your bachelor's. Go get a master's. Get a regular job. So one of the fears was, I don't want a regular job. I don't want to clock the 9-to-5. I want to do hair. Hair has no time to be to work structurally, but we can do that on our own. We make our own hours. I tell myself when I want to go to work. I tell myself when I want to go home, and I tell myself I don't want to work today.
Yeah.
So non-believers was my first fear. And once you get over that, now it's the stereotype. Oh, you do hair? So you do that type of hair. And I'm like, well, what do you mean by that type of hair? When you go to school, you learn hair. Hair is hair. As it grows out of your head, it's hair. If it grows off your face, it's hair. What do you mean by that type of hair? So being stereotyped into doing certain textures of hair. I don't see hair as texture. I see hair as, okay, how can I manipulate this because it's a little coily? How do I manipulate this because it's curly? How do I manipulate this because it's straight? So you have to overcome these stereotypes of being placed in these different categories of a hair. I remember opening my salon and being in a military town, you see all types of people. Yeah. So when I looked at the storefront, like, okay, what do I put in the front? I was like, okay, this is my opportunity to say, I do everything. We do everything. So I had an African-American girl, Black girl on one window. I had an Asian girl on one window, and I had a Caucasian on another window. You could not say that my salon specialized in any texture of hair. You couldn't point us out.
Yeah.
So you couldn't say, oh, they only do that type of hair. People would walk in and look amazed that when they walked in, they saw a little black girl in here, but they're on the window. And they would ask, "Oh, do you do this?" "Sure. Yes, we do. Would you like to book a consultation?" And they was like, "Oh, yes." It was just shock. So stereotype was the second hurdle. And the last one was finances. So finances was always like the fear. Like we talked about earlier, you make money fast, you spend money fast. How do we manage this? What do we do with it? It's rolling in. How do we keep it? Or how do we make more of it rolling to get it to do what we want to do next, which is write books, open other salons, go start teaching at shows, go get speaking engagement. How do you make your money work for you? So those was the three biggest fears: the non-believers, the stereotypes, and finances. And once you conquer that, you're like, okay, I got this. I can do this. And your mindset plays a big part in conquering each one.
That's real good. That's real good. People, expectations, and your finances, your money mindset. I think that's so good. And that's difficult, right? I think, we've all heard, the riches are in the niches, right? You got to niche down. Do you feel like the fact that you're able to work with everyone's hair is its own niche, because a lot of hairstylists tend to segment themselves off, and I only work with these kind of people, or I only work with those kind of people, blah, 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 blah?
I do. Like, before I retired, my specialty was color and hair extensions. That's all I did. It didn't matter the texture, didn't matter the person. I didn't care who sat in the chair. Those were the services that I offered. Before that, I think I only focused on hair extensions. Before that, it was just shortcuts. Before that, it was just natural hair, locks, things like that. Before that, it was everything. I was like, yep, I do it all. Yeah. But to specialize in a texture, I think you're limiting yourself. I think you can specialize in a service and do it for everyone. Pick a service and go that way.
Yeah. For folks who are listening to the podcast, maybe younger folks, older folks who maybe are just on the fence about how and who they want to work with, I think it is a little interesting, because sometimes the people who you think you're going to work with are not the people who are attracted to you.
Exactly.
Which could throw you off, and I'm glad that you're talking about this, because I think I feel like online, we get preached a lot of narratives about exactly who you're supposed to be working with and exactly who you're supposed to be empowering, but the reality is, you as a human being may draw different types of people to you, and you don't necessarily have any control off of that, based off of that, And so if that is if those are the folks who are being drawn to you, then provide that service for them, with as quality a service as possible, because it sounds like what you're saying is, you specialized in something, but not in somebody.
Exactly.
Right. That way, you know exactly what you are providing. However, you don't got to feel no kind of way. And I'm open to whomever is looking for that in particular.
Right.
Do you think we put ourselves in specific niches or communities or neighborhoods or cliques and things like that based off of our fear of working or being attracted to or around people who we're unfamiliar with?
I think we do. I think it's the fear of, like, being military. For me, I always moved a lot. So I guess my mentality is stick me anywhere I just have to figure it out. Because when you're in the
Yeah.
military, you never know where you're gonna go. You might know the state, you might know the city, but you don't know the groups and the cliques and the people. Like, you don't know that. You just hear
Yeah.
and you make the best of it. So I think a lot of times when we're trying to figure out who we are and where we belong, we look for the cliques and the groups to try and like get grounded. I don't even think that's not the right word, but to kind of get going, or to,
Yeah.
sometimes we want to be accepted.
Yeah.
When in actuality, you don't. Like, I've never been to like the group, I call it like the groupie, cliquey type person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stick me anywhere. I'm like, okay, what's going on over here? What we doing? What we got going on? Oh, we quiet? Okay, let me be quiet. I'm too loud. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. And then you might be, oh, wait, we turning up. All right, we gonna turn up. Oh, wait, we gotta be classy. I'm sorry. We gotta be really elegant over here. Sometimes I feel like we're drawn to where we kind of be. But at the same time, we got a lot of our personalities come out. Like, you gotta be who you are. When you're trying to niche down and conquer your fears, it really boils down to, who are you? Because no one knows who you are until you know who you are.
Oof, that's a bar right there. You said nobody knows who you are until you know who you are. So it doesn't matter what clique you're in, or what neighborhood, or what, frat you're in, or sorority you're in. You're still pretending because you don't really know who you are. And that is ultimately going to be your biggest asset. It's just knowing who you are. That is so powerful. I think
Exactly.
I think our fear of standing out, our fear of being as big as we could be, causes us to seek safety in other people's approval, causes us to seek safety in other people's validation. And I think, while validation is fine and we all desire that to be accepted in some way, shape, or form, I do think it's counterproductive for those of us who are meant to be leaders, because leaders stand out.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that all of you who are listening to this podcast are understanding my intention for saying this. I'm not telling you not to seek community. I'm not telling you that you don't belong. What I'm saying is that it is okay for you to stand out. It is okay for you to not fit into certain cliques, certain organizations, certain whatever. That's fine. You're not a loser or weird because you don't fit into that person's clique. You may, be years, moments, weeks away from really discovering who you are, which will inform you on what environments you need to be in. So I think that's really, really good. So, you've overcome a lot of things, right? You've moved around a whole lot. You have mastered a lot of different hairstyles, as well as hair textures and services, and even the craft of generating resources within your skill set. Because, there's a lot of folks who are good at making money, but they can't make money doing the things that they care about. And there are a lot of people who do stuff that they care about, but they can't seem to make any money doing it. And you have done both, which is wildly incredible, and it's inspiring. What do you feel like some of your fears are now? Do you feel like you've kind of reached the mountaintop and you kind of just like, just dropping gems, just chilling, What do you feel like some of your fears are now that you have to continue to overcome?
My biggest fear right now is overthinking. I can admit it, because I know when it happens. Literally. It's almost like when you've overcome so many fears and you get to another one, you like, okay, wait, what is this? What's going on? What am I doing? And it's literally overthinking the thought process that you just had, and you're rethinking another thought that's literally not even necessary. So my biggest current fear is overthinking, but I realize it and I know when it's happened. And at that moment when it's happening, I'm like, okay, I gotta go do something else. I literally I could be literally at my desk working and start overthinking. I will shut everything down and I'll go watch like a favorite show on Netflix. I might go to the grocery store to turn it off because I realize when it happens. But that took me some time to know that this is a fear and it's something that I gotta focus on in order to get over. And I guess that comes with, having so many years now and accomplishing so many things, looking for what's the next thing that I can accomplish. That is like, okay, get out of your head. I'm probably in a comfortable space right now and I probably need to just chill out, but it's the overthinking that pops in. And I'm like, okay, let's go to brunch.
Thank you for listening to Empower You Podcast. I just wanted to take a second and tell you about a brand new podcast on the Creative Podcast Network. The Guru Guide to Podcasting podcast is for coaches, consultants, service-based businesses that are looking to beat the social media algorithms, create more revenue in their business and an audience of their ideal clients so that they can have more valuable conversations, impact more businesses, more clients, and ultimately create more income and more freedom in their business. So if that's you and you're looking to build an audience of your ideal clients, you're looking to take back your time in your business, in your life, and generate more income while doing it, you can start your very own profitable business podcast, and we'll show you exactly how to do it. So click the link and visit the Guru Guide to Podcasting podcast, and we'll talk to you when you get there, okay? Back to the episode. I always want to look up to people who have done what I desire to do, and maybe not in the hair industry, but I would love to say I've helped over 400 clients, which we're not quite there yet. Got a ways to go for that. But I do think it's really interesting that even at the level of business that you're operating in, the level of success you've already had, you still maintain a level of diligence in evaluating and making sure that your mind stays sharp, that you're not creating more complications for yourself mentally, that you're overcoming, just stories that you're telling yourself, and I think it's interesting because we forget about that kind of stuff. We see people on social media or on TV or shows and stuff, and we just assume people got it all together and everybody's this and everybody's rich and everybody's all, you know what I mean? And so I always think it's interesting to hear, the realness behind what super successful people like yourself are thinking about, which is none of the stuff that other folks are thinking about. They're thinking, oh, well, she must have all this money. And you just thinking, how do I make my life the best I can make it without overthinking?
Absolutely.
What do you feel like one of the major issues that you encounter with your clients is? You spoke already about, just their mindset, but what do you feel like the triggers that you feel like you keep coming up against? Because they'll come to you and they'll tell you all their problems. They want you to help them fix it, and so you start fixing it or you start giving them instructions, but where does that fear kick in? How does people who are listening to this know when you're not just trying to think through something, you're just scared? You know what I mean? Like, this is not, you can't call this logic. You're not taking your time. You're just scared. Like, how do you combat that? How does that manifest itself with your clients?
Well, that's a really great question. Oh my God. Okay. So the biggest thing with my clients is the unknown. We fear the unknown. So when we're talking, they're pouring, they like they know what their challenges are. They know sort of what the solution can be. They're hesitant on implementing. But it's what's going to happen over there. I don't know. So a lot of them fear the unknown. If it's not mindset, they fear the unknown and their value. It's like that high level value. So they have value, they understand their value, but it's the high level value. So between that and the unknown, literally is a battle. Strategy, they can handle strategy all day long. They can implement, they know how to take action, but they don't know what's going to happen after they take action. And I'm like, just go do it. Just do it. Could you get it done, please? Because whatever problem that we may face, we won't, because you're not going. Just go. And then come back and let you know what happened.
Oh, that's heavy. That's heavy. You said whatever problem that we might face, we're not facing it because you haven't done it. Exactly. So this is still a hypothetical because you didn't take action.
Yes.
Another thing that you said that I would love for you to talk about a little bit more, because you said, I'm trying to think of how you just said that. You said high quality. You said they understand strategy, but they don't understand high value. Tell me about that.
So it's like saying, okay, you can find me on social media everywhere, offering value, just inputting, pouring, knowing my worth. I know I should be charging more at salons, and I know I'm worth more, but it's realizing that you're not worth that little bit. You're worth higher than that. I had a salon owner one time tell me, well, I was actually telling her she needs a salon menu and she needs her pricing menu. And she said, well, I don't think I want to put myself on a pedestal from everyone else. And the same way you paused, I paused and was like, why not? She said, because I kind of want to remain like equal. And I just kept saying, why? I drilled all the way down to her why. She really had no real reason. So I put her on that pedestal. That's recognizing that you're a high value. You are the owner. You're in a different position than everyone else. To sit in your chair, that's going to cost a pretty penny. So most recognize that they are valued, but it's the high value that's the fear that I keep fighting with.
Oof, that's really interesting. I think the high value portion of it, man, I feel like that's got to stem from like childhood and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Is not wanting to elevate to a position of spectacle because everybody picks on you at that point. Not wanting to be too good at certain things because, you know, obviously with elevation comes separation. And a lot of your friends might be, y'all gonna get mad at me, but you might have a lot of bottom feeder friends. And they've been with you. They've been riding and dying with you. But at this point in your life, it's time for you to change. It's time for you to make specific changes. And when you're saying this, I just can only think how uncomfortable those conversations have to be, because you're combating ideas, you know, that folks have had about themselves for years, you know, their entire life in some cases. You know, what is something that you do? I mean, you don't have to give us all your secret sauce, but what's a technique that you like to use to help your clients get out of their own way? Well,
actually what I do in my coaching program on Mondays, we have a Q&A call. But before we start the Q&A call, I usually play something, whether it's a motivation from YouTube, something that the wealthy people are doing, just some video, something to just shift the mindset. Because as the week go on, we get into our life and life happens. So on Mondays when we show up for Q&A, I want to reposition their week. Let's watch this inspirational video. It could be, we've watched from Kobe Bryant to Steve Harvey to authors speak, TEDx talks. And it's literally that 10 minutes, that first 10 minutes. And I'm like, what did you get? Somebody be like, I needed that because whatever. I'm glad you shared that because I was thinking this. And it's literally just, hey, watch this piece, absorb this, get your mind right for the week. Let's move forward.
Yeah. Wow. That's good. That's good. You got a lot of thoughts going right now. I got a lot of thoughts going. I think, oh, wow. That's good. Especially on Mondays, especially when you're trying to readjust yourself. Because what they don't tell you about becoming something is all of the Mondays involved, right? All of the days of waking up and just doing a lot of stuff you just don't want to have to do, or staying up super late doing things that you don't want to have to do. Reading, learning, growing, trying things that are not working out, like the trial and error alone can kind of stamp out a lot of your motivation. And so listening to you, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying, because we need that, right? We need to constantly be reminded that what we are trying to achieve is not only possible, but it is possible for us individually. And I think when you get caught up in the mix, you can kind of forget, just like, what am I doing all this for? Because right now, like, all I know is that this sucks at this moment. This is a difficult, I keep getting on the phone and she keep telling me to raise my prices and I don't feel like I should be doing this. I'm gonna lose all my clients and yada, yada, yada. When in reality, it's like what you're doing 80% more work than you need to be doing, especially for what you're making.
Exactly.
You could work with 2 of them clients and be making the same amount of money as you making working with 20 of them.
Yes.
And you get rid of 18 headaches. You know what I'm saying?
I actually had a client that did that. When we started, she was doing 10 heads a day. And I asked her, I said, well, what if you do 7? And she was like, am I going to lose money? I said, no, you're going to make the same, if not more. And correct. She did 7. And then we went down to 5. And then one day, I think around a holiday, she got super busy and did 7 heads a day. And she said, I'm exhausted. I said, but you used to do 10. You can't handle 7. You used to do 10. She was like, I don't know how I did that. She was like, I make more now doing 5 than I did doing 10. And she's trying to figure out how I only do 2.
Listen, that's powerful. Because I think, especially as Black and brown people, we really gravitate towards volume, right? Yes. You gotta have a lot of this or a lot of that or a lot of, recognition or fame or followers or whatever like that. And I think sometimes we forget that we're allowed to be high quality, not just wear high quality, right? Not just try to impress people, but we are allowed to be high quality, a high quality experience, a high quality service, a high quality business owner, in incremental steps. And for me, my father, who was a terrific man, who taught me so many things, he taught me and my brother how to work, and so I grew up watching him work a lot of hours. And so growing up, I always assumed I needed to work a lot of hours, yes. And I did that well into my, late 20s. And I'm thinking to myself, there's gotta be a better way to do this. I'm watching the guys who are older than me, starting to develop health issues, start developing problems, start needing surgeries, and having bulging discs, and they doing the same kind of work I'm doing. So I'm like, ooh, okay, I don't know if I like this trajectory, and so I think just the humility that your client showed to actually execute, right? Because I'm sure she was very afraid she was going to lose a lot of money by taking her workload down.
Yes, definitely fearful.
Yeah. What do you feel like, for all of us who are listening, or for all of the folks who are listening, who are in various stages of their life, what are the top fears that you feel like they need to take hold of in order to move into the next phase of their life? Our whole country is in a little bit of an interesting state, and it's going to affect people. And I don't believe that because this is happening, you're gonna experience. I believe you create your own reality, But I do believe that reality is predicated on the fears that you do or don't subscribe to. Whether it's a fear of lack, whether it's a fear of not being accepted, whether it's a fear of somebody cheating on you, or whatever it is, you're creating that by being so hyper focused on it. So, what do you feel like for our listeners are some of the top three, or it doesn't have to be three, but some of the top fears that people have to lay hold on if they're gonna break out of the situation that they're in?
I think one of the fears is belonging. Like, we see now where you have to be in a certain class. Like, you have to show this quote unquote type of lifestyle. Flashy cars and jewelry and planes and traveling. I'm like, listen, I love traveling, but I don't want to show y'all every time I get on a plane. I just want to get on the plane and go. So I think we have that fear. We have to show that this is what we have. Like, we have to belong. You don't have to. My mother used to always say, you don't have to do nothing but stay your color and die. I never knew what that means until I became an adult, because it was always, I got to do this in order to be accepted, in order to belong in the good group. I got to act this certain way. I have to do these certain things, and that's not true. I think if we get over that, we have to belong in a certain category and just do you. Like, do you, boo? If you loud and like to turn up, go for it. Like, who is anyone to say, no, you can't do that? You have to act in this manner. If you're not harming anyone, you're bringing success to yourself, then act how you were naturally born and intended to be. Don't feel like you have to belong. Another fear is emotional fear. Like, you emotionally have to feel certain ways. Why? Why do I have to feel like I have to sugarcoat what I say? Now, I might offend some people, because if something don't seem right, sound right, the math ain't mathing, I'm gonna be honest. That's just me. I've learned that I don't want to protect your emotions for sharing something that needs to be said. So we are emotionally fearful of sharing how we feel. We keep those bottled up. So between emotional belonging and mindset, unknown, and having this persona, I think if we get over that and just be who we want to be, genuine, authentic, just be you. At the end of the day, true colors are gonna come out. We see that right now. We're not gonna go into that realm, but everyone's true colors are coming out. So for you to still sit back and say, oh no, that's not how you're supposed to act. You're supposed to do this. If we get rid of those, I think we'll be okay. Yeah.
That's very, very good. I hope y'all are listening. These are major life altering fears, right? That we can go our whole life coddling these fears.
Yes.
And creating all of our decisions around trying to protect ourselves from experiencing those fears. Yeah, that's really, really good. Man, you got me thinking back, right, about my own journey and how much time I've spent trying to be acceptable or trying to fit in or trying to not hurt people's feelings, be the good guy. And ultimately, it really doesn't matter. I want to get a thought exercise from you. You've shared so much, and it really hits for me because I think right now, especially in this season in society, we really have to understand who and what we are, right? You said that earlier, that your greatest asset to your business or anything else is knowing who you are. And I think that is just so big because we are always inundated with images and ideals about who we're supposed to be, but we're never celebrated for just being who you are, not as a Black person, not as a female, not as a whatever you identify as, just as you, for the intrinsic value that you bring to the environments that you're in. And I think we're missing that, because everything is based off of some metric, some algorithm, and we lose our humanity to all of that. So if you could give us a thought exercise, that would be really great. But I have one question before then.
Okay.
What is one piece of advice that you wish you had earlier at the beginning of your business that you give to your clients now?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, let me see. The best thing that I can say is that you are in competition with yourself. As much as people say, understand your competitors, know who's out there, who's doing what you do, and you should find mentors who are doing what you do and what you want to do, aspire to do. At the end of the day, you are in competition with yourself. Nope, nobody else. So if you wasn't your best self today, you got tomorrow to be your better self. And if that wasn't good enough, then the next day you compete with you. And you compete with you until you get to where you like, okay, this is me. I am happy here. I am good. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that part no more. Let me compete with myself again. What's my next level? Where should I go next? So I would say you are in competition with yourself.
Wow. That's really, really good. You are there to compete with yourself. Oof. Elisha, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think especially for young people, there's a million things to be afraid of and worried about. And I think if we keep on subscribing to fear politics and fear antics and everything you should be worried about, we just won't get anything done. And we can't really be gifted. You can't really be yourself because you're just always so nervous about everybody else's reaction to it. And so what you're sharing is so important. And I just truly appreciate you taking some time to share with us. One more thing. How can people get a hold of you, engage with your services, engage you as a mentor, as a coach, as a speaker, or if they wanted to book you for some virtual conference, or have you maybe come in and talk to their kids, or offer some kind of mentorship hours? What would be the process of reaching out to you and contacting you? And then I would love to get a thought exercise from you.
Absolutely. So to reach me, just head on over to my website at elishamonique.com, or you can find me in the social media streets, Elisha Monique _educator on Instagram, or just Google Elisha Monique. Wherever you see a blue shirt, royal blue, it's my color, that's me.
That's love. That's love. All right, y'all heard that. Elisha Monique in these internet streets. All right. And ElishaMonique.com, is that what your website is?
Yes.
Awesome. So ElishaMonique.com, you're going to see all that kind of stuff in the show notes. So make sure you reach out to her, leave a comment, a rating for this episode. Go to her inbox, tell her thank you for dropping so many gems and giving me permission to be free from some of the fears that you are inevitably facing, because we all got fears, and you ain't got to front on Empower You Podcast. We all been there. So Elisha, will you do us a favor and give us a thought exercise, something that we can work on, something that we can start implementing right away, to help us start to overcome some of our fears, our worries about not being accepted, about being excellent, about being talked about, worrying that, we'll make too much money or we'll never make money, or, all the different things that are constantly running through our minds. If you could give us a thought exercise, something that you use, something that's helped you, we would love it. And the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, by the way. You guys are amazing. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. One of the things that being here and you asking this question made me remember something that I used to do. I stopped doing it, and I'm probably going to pick it up after this. But journaling specifically at the end of the day, what happened today, the great things that happened today, and the not so great things, meaning like whether you didn't accomplish your to-do list, or something that made you scared, or something that challenged you, but balance that with the great things that happened today, like listening to a great podcast, finding another great mentor, or just researching whatever your ideas is, getting a little bit of clarity on that. So I recommend journaling the good of your day and the challenges of your day. That way, as you lay your head down, you go to bed, you can subconsciously process, what are the good things that happen? And how can I continue to be great, get over some fears, and move forward in my next day?
That's really, really good. That's really good. I journal, but this is next level journaling. I don't write down the challenges of the day. I normally will write down some of my observations from the day. I'll write down my gratitude, and I'll write down my list for the next day. Right? My desires, gratitude. It's like status, gratitude, desires, list.
Good stuff.
And I don't really write down like what was the challenge, what was challenging today? Why was it challenging? And how can you overcome that, the next day or tomorrow? How can you see these things coming? How can I help myself be more patient? I was working with somebody who's a cognitive expert, and that was one of the questions that she said that you should be asking yourself. And when you said you write down your challenges, I immediately thought of that, because I feel like it's in the same vein. It's like, how can I help myself get over this fear? if you're constantly asking yourself these questions, I mean, that's just next level. I'm definitely going to start implementing that. Y'all, listen, this kind of stuff is the real stuff. Like, I know you get nuggets online and stuff like that, but taking care of yourself and your subconscious is major. All of your decisions are made from your subconscious. They're all made. You can take in 1 million posts and read 1 million message boards, but if you're not actively engaging in what your subconscious is constantly brewing from your stories and everything else, it's going to be a lot less impactful. So that's huge. Thank you so much. Can you tell us again, drop your links, drop your IG for us again, because I'm just super appreciative that you're here, and I want to make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of you. And then for all of those who are looking to expand, their beauty business, their sweet stylist portfolio, Elisha Monique is going to be the way to go. So tell us again, how do we reach you?
Head over to my website at elishamonique.com, elishamonique.com. And follow me on Instagram at elishamonique_educator. And of course, I'm on Facebook as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. For all those who are listening, this is Elisha Monique, Kid Boy Cooper. We're talking about overcoming fears. So play this back, listen to it as many times as you need to, follow the thought exercises. This one is real good. I challenge you to see what comes out in those journals. That's probably going to be more telling than your visit with your therapist, because don't nobody see the journal. You might as well go ahead and write it down and look at it on paper and start asking yourself, how can you fix it? How can you overcome that fear? Again, Kid Boy Cooper, Elisha Monique, thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day. And for all of us who are listening, watching it on playback, y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to y'all a little bit later. Peace. Thanks for listening to Empower You Podcast. Don't forget to rate and review this episode, because we would love to hear your takeaways from this discussion. And it helps us reach more listeners just like you. If you'd like daily audio video clips from the podcast, you can find Empower You Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.